Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Lara Sturm.
Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast. This is episode 50, and I am one of your hosts, Lara Sturm.
And I'm Josh Rohr. Welcome to the episode number 50. It's a Masters 2 now.
That's nice. Awesome. Yeah, we made it to episode 50 with both of our listeners still hanging on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to both of you for listening to some of the episodes.
Some of the episodes, yeah. So we had a meet this weekend, the Atlanta Open. It was over at Madhouse Gym in Mableton, hosted by Jaslyn Pepper West and Elizabeth Turner. And I thought it was a really good meet. They were both first-time meet directors. And I think, you know, anytime you run your first meet, there's always things that you're not anticipating and things like that. So it can get kind of overwhelming, but I thought they did a really good job just making sure everything went smoothly. And from a lifter standpoint, from a coach standpoint, even from a referee standpoint, I thought everything went really smoothly. But as a fellow meet director, I was watching them a lot just to see like how they're running around doing just all these little things to make the meet keep running, and nobody else notices that, I don't think. So I just wanted to say props to them for, you know, doing a really good job on the meet. And I talked to a lot of the lifters, and they, you know, I had heard no bad feedback. Everybody was really happy with how it went. You know, there were some, you know, we had some technical issues with the internet at the venue. So we were supposed to be live streaming it. And I was the one doing that. So we had everything set up, ready to go. We had the, you know, the graphics, lifter's name, everything in there. But the damn internet wouldn't work. It just kept cutting out. So basically we got like a couple clips of a few lifters doing their first squat in session 1. In session 2, so then session 1 it just like cut out and went dead. And then session 2, we couldn't even get connected to even try to start it again. So we never even started the live stream on the second session. So everybody, the live
scorecard affected too.
So it was working, but it was very delayed. So people were, so it would work periodically, it would work, and then it would disappear. It'd work, and then it would just like lag. So, you know, there was a couple times where I'm looking at Lifting Cast on my phone, and I'm like, man, there must be we're in the warm-up room warming up, and, you know, I'm like, man, there must have been like a misload or something like that. So I walk out front, and it's like 10 lifters ahead of what Lifting Cast said on my phone. So I'm like, oh, all right, we got to get moving. So it just kind of froze a little bit, but, you know, those are things that you really can't account for. I mean, you know, short of going there and like hooking everything up and testing the internet, like, which you're not really going to do that. You just can't anticipate that happening. So I think they did a really good job just working with what they had. So like the lights went down, you know, after the first session too. They quit. The internet was so bogged down, the lights wouldn't work. So we had to go to cards. But, you know, props to them. They were prepared. They had, you know, white and red cards ready to go for the referees, so that if that did happen, you know, then we were good to go.
There's always the thumbs up and thumbs down.
There is always the thumbs up and thumbs down. Yeah. But so the whole second session, we ran off of cards, you know, just holding up a white card or red card. So
is the bar load off cards as well?
No, so that was working because that was connected directly to the scoring computer, so it would work without internet. It's just the uploading the database. So like if you know, you're looking at it from your phone or whatever, it was sometimes delayed. But that part wasn't as bad, but it was just the lights that were really, and that seems to be the biggest thing with Lifting Cast, is when the internet gets bogged down, the lights are the first thing to get affected. So. But it worked.
Internet's and from the lift, always technical problems, right?
Yeah, and from a lifter standpoint, like I don't think anybody, you know, short of looking up for the lights on the screen and then realizing they have to look at the referees, like they didn't notice any difference. So, you know, I thought it still ran pretty smooth.
Yeah, being a meet director is like hosting a wedding, and you know something's going to go wrong. There will be something.
Yeah, there's always something, you know.
But whether it's apparent to the lifters or not, is the art.
So we got quite a few direct messages on Instagram like, hey, the live stream's not working, fix it, and just stuff like that. And I was like, well, it's an internet issue. I can't magically make the internet work. But you know, we tried, and you know, and to their credit, you know, they, you know, Jazz and Elizabeth, they you know, they put all this stuff in place to be successful. But again, it wasn't their fault the internet didn't work. I mean, you know, ultimately people may blame them for it, you know, but it really wasn't. I mean, there's nothing they could have done differently to make it work. So
yeah. Oh, kudos for them for running their first meet.
Yeah, and
I know really good. It didn't sleep.
Yeah, they didn't sleep. They, you know, it was two platforms, 2 sessions. I can't remember the final number of lifters. I want to say it was around 120 or maybe 115, something like that.
That's a big first meet.
It was a big meet, and you know, to take that on in your first one is kind of a lot. And I thought they did a really good job.
That's awesome.
So
now they'll be meet directors.
So they're in now. So they, you know, hopefully will be running many more. But yeah, it was good.
And we had a lifter.
We did. So we did. Olivia Valea did her first meet. She went 8 for 9. Ended up placing first in the 76 kilo class. She won best lifter overall, and she qualified for nationals in the open division in her first meet, which is kind of unheard of. So
wait, what? This was her first meet.
Her first
got
meet.
Best lifter and qualified for nationals.
Yeah.
Where'd she come from?
Who knows? She's at Georgia Tech.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of you know, and we kind of, you know, what we usually do with lifters, we kind of throttle what they're going to do the first meet. We don't let them go all out. So she didn't even go all out. It was just kind of, you know, putting her numbers together. I just started doing the math. I'm like, she's right at the qualifying total, I believe, just with hitting, you know, conservative thirds. So, you know, and you know, the one lift she did miss was her opening bench, which kind of funny, like that's her best lift. But she just missed commands. You know, and it's, you know, she was kind of beating herself up about that a little bit, but, you know, again, that was kind of the reason for doing, you know, your first meet is just to get the experience and work all these bugs out. And to win, get best lifter and qualify for nationals in your first meet, and 8 for 9 is pretty good. Like, I think that's a huge win.
Right. And to miss a lift on your
on a technicality.
Well, I can tell you one thing she won't ever do.
Yeah, right.
You won't miss commands again. I mean, that's a great way to learn.
Yeah, and
a bad way to learn. It's the right way to learn.
It's the right way to learn because it's going to be a permanent fix, hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, super proud of how she did. She did really good. You know, we're trying to figure out what her next meet's going to be at this point, but we obviously know nationals is on the table for next year. So
yeah,
that will definitely be on the agenda.
Yeah. So one side note about nationals, I was watching from the sidelines this year, which kind of hurt a little bit, but you know, the whole, like, taking a whole week off from work nowadays isn't really in the cards for me. Am I freezing? Please tell me I'm not freezing.
Nope.
Okay.
You're good.
All right. And I just missed it because it just seemed like a big, like, reunion. Like, after all that we've been through in this last year, it just seemed like a great big reunion of the powerlifting family, Team Roar and outside of Team Roar, just everybody.
Yep.
And it made me really miss the sport and competing and being with my people.
Good. But yeah, it was very much like a reunion feeling, like seeing people we haven't seen in, you know, going on 2 years, because, you know, with the 2020 everything shutting down. So yeah, it was super cool to see everybody again. You know, in some ways it's like we never missed a beat, and in some ways it's like, man, I haven't seen you in forever. So it was really cool. So we'll say maybe 2022 Lara is around a little bit more, maybe.
We'll see what happens. It's the whole training thing.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just show up and be like, okay, I'm hitting the platform. Like,
well, you can, but then you end up like me.
It might not go so well, but
yeah. Taking a
Well,
token
you didn't
deadlift
lift this
because you
last
tweaked
year.
your back.
Okay. Oh, wait, did you lift?
No, I did when we
Okay.
did the mock meet back last year.
Oh.
Like I trained for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks after doing nothing for like a year. And yeah, that's not the way to do it,
Mm,
apparently.
yeah. So maybe we'll have to throw down of like, all right, I'll train for the meet if you train for the meet.
Yeah. So we had a discussion at nationals with some of like Uncle Jeremy was there.
Mm.
Mike Haffenbrack, some of the Adriana DaCosta, some of the like lifters that were competing at the collegiate level, like around the same time I was. And we kind of came up with this idea. We were thinking about hosting a USA Powerlifting Washed-up Open. Basically, only invite lifters that are has-beens from back in like the early 2000s.
Sign me up, Josh Rohr.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
But we took
Am I
it
not
even
has
further.
been enough?
Yeah, you're not has-been enough. So some of the stipulations is, how when you use the age coefficient with like the junior or the teens and masters, like the younger you are when you're a teen and the older you are when you're a masters, you have like a coefficient that gives you a little bit extra. So we were thinking about having a coefficient that gets multiplied by your total. So like I can't remember what we decided. We obviously didn't decide. This is all just random bullshit as we were talking it out. But basically, we will give a 0.01 coefficient for every 5 years you've been inactive. So like the longer you haven't lifted, the more of a bump you get. Maybe it was every year even. It was 0.01. I can't remember. I have to do some math and see what helps me the most.
And then run it that way. Yes.
And run it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've only been out for what? Oh my gosh, it's been, I think it was 2018 since I listed last.
Yeah.
And now it's 2021. How did that happen?
I don't know.
My God.
It snuck up on you. But there's like Jeremy, for example, I think his last competition that he did was 2009. He's been lifting and stuff since then. But so he would have a pretty significant coefficient there.
Yes.
Mike
just lifted. Mike.
Yeah, and Mike, that's the thing.
That.
But Mike's strong because he's been training and lifting, so he doesn't need the little coefficient bump that some of us other people need. So that was some of the thoughts. We were also thinking about like, I mean, obviously, if we sanction it, we couldn't enforce these rules, but it would just be kind of a understood like you can only wear gear that was around back then. So like the Inzer Bolt shirt, you can't wear that. Like some of the stuff that's new now, like you have to stick to the old gear, just stuff like that.
Right.
So it's very much in the planning
stage. Can we change
stage.
the scoring to be like, as long as you get one one white light, it's okay?
I mean, we could probably, I don't know.
No, we can't do that.
We're getting a little bit.
Yeah, we're going rogue.
Yeah, we're going rogue there. So, I mean, we would obviously like have some sort of betting on this too, like how many people make it through the meet without getting hurt, take the over under, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
There
seems to be a lot of interest. Like we were talking about it, and then some other people that I knew were at the meet that I hadn't, had a chance to talk to, like came up to me. So how do I get an invite to the Washed-up Open? I'm like, God, is the word spreading that fast? Like we're doing this meet for all the people that are no longer.
At the end of this podcast, we'll have a contact us at, and just contact Josh if you want this meet to happen. And
it's very much in the planning. So it's probably, so what we were thinking, like Jeremy and I, both of our last collegiate meet was 2006. So we were thinking about maybe doing it in 2026 and make it like the 20-year reunion. I know that's still a ways off, but it gives us a lot of time to really work out the details, and it gives us some incentive to
train
or not train. So I can get another 5 years of not training to add to my coefficient.
Well, training helps. You just don't have to compete.
It does. Right. That's true.
5 years. So
that's true. So maybe we need to come up with some sort of like not being able to like not training coefficient and not competing coefficient. So then people have to decide is it to my advantage to not even train, or should I train?
Oh, that's
so much strategy.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So there was some other stuff that went on Saturday
Yeah.
that you almost forgot about.
I did almost forget about it. So the voting for our the best list of top 5 80s albums, we basically are in our finals were Saturday, and I almost forgot to post the polling.
The brackets.
Thank you for the text message of like, hey, where the hell are the brackets at? Literally, if you wouldn't have texted me, that would not have happened. I forgot. So we had our listener final was number 4, Chris versus number 7, Amy. And then we had our co-host final, which was between you and I. And we'll get to that after I talk about Chris and Amy. So Chris on the Team Roar Instagram had 25 votes. Amy had 14. And on the PL Ballads podcast Instagram, Chris had 12 and Amy had 4. So Chris is the victorious listener list. 37-18 was the total. So he automatically gets $25 worth of Team Roar apparel of his choice. And if he ends up beating the winner of you and I next week, then he gets $50. So the much anticipated showdown between you and I. Yeah. I think something was skewed on this, if I'm being honest. I think there was a glitch in the
system. You're gonna claim fraud.
Yes.
I was gonna claim fraud if you want, just to say that, because you're the one who's tabulating the votes and you're the only one who has access to these things anyway.
Yeah, right.
So,
which is all the worse that I lost.
Because you could have fixed it and then you didn't.
Yeah,
wow.
I could have just made it up.
So
but it was close.
Josh?
It was close.
It was close. It was closer than I thought.
Yeah,
I thought your list sucked a lot worse.
Oh shit! Rough. This is a rough crowd. So on the Team Roar Instagram, you had 23, I had 21, and on the PL Ballads podcast, you had 9, I had 7. So you won by 4 votes, 32-28. And I would demand a recount, except for it's all digital and it counts itself. So there's really nothing to recount.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Apparently, for whatever reason, the listeners think you have a better list than me. I don't understand it, but.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Like, am I more mainstream than you are? Is that what that means?
That would be like a little,
you know,
dagger, like a little, what is the word? I don't remember what it's called.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Yeah. It's almost like, not silver lining. It's the opposite of silver lining. The, damn, why can't I think?
The more you lift, the less you can speak.
Yeah.
Wait, that wouldn't work.
I should be able to speak. I talk good.
Well, you are drinking coffee, so that's weird.
Number 2 for the day. I'm trying to get caffeinated and ready to roll because I have a lot of programming to write today because the whole week I was at nationals and then the meet this weekend at the Atlanta Open. I've gotten behind on programming. So
I remember weekends like that where I looked at my spreadsheet and I'm like, oh, I've got 18 programs to write.
Yeah. So instead of writing programming right now, I'm recording this podcast. I'll get to the programming.
We'll talk fast and get on with this. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're looking for your day of lifting, then see Josh this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
You text me.
So we are going to have the final this weekend. It will be Lara versus Chris, and the voting will be on Saturday. So
I got to say, Chris's list is pretty solid.
It is.
The thing that I wish that I changed my list to have was his Motley Crue. Like if I took out Vision Quest, that soundtrack, and put in Motley Crue, I'd win. Damn it.
But you didn't.
But I didn't. And, that's the way it goes. And then, maybe you would have beat me if I had done that too.
So I'm also a little disappointed at the results of Amy's list, because if you look at Amy's list and my list, they're very similar. So I was really hoping for an Amy versus Josh final, because it'd be very much similar list, just different order. And she has, I think, one album that's not on mine, and I have one that's not on hers. But.
Well, I think Chris's list is kind of similar to mine. So we could do a double head. I mean, because you can make up the rules.
We could do it. We could do a consolation bracket.
Consolation bracket, Amy versus Josh.
I think maybe we'll do that. So we'll do Chris versus Lara for 1 and 2, and then we'll do Amy versus Josh for 3 and 4.
Yeah, because why not? We can make up the rules. This is
Yeah.
our podcast that no one listens to anyway.
Yeah, because we automatically had like a couple buys because we were automatically in the final because we were the only 2 co-hosts. So yeah.
True. Right.
Or we could even I was gonna overcomplicate it. I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna make a path for me to actually get second ahead of whoever loses against you and Chris, but then by default could make me jump you if you lost to Chris, even though head to head we lost. So that just wouldn't work. It would just be a loophole.
Just boggling my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're looking for a loophole right now, Josh.
I'm grasping at straws. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's all right. Cool.
All right. So what else do we got on this podcast today? I see a powerlifting situation.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum. All right. Here's the situation. Oh, wait. I'm not reading the right thing. I scrolled right by it. All right. Now, for realsy. Here's the situation. You weighed in 1 kilo lighter than you were expecting. Your opening bench is 185 kilos. You struggled to lock out 175 for your last warm-up in your loose shirt that you were planning, looser shirt that you were planning to open in. The deadline to change your opener just expired. Your plan was to change into a tighter bench shirt after your 185 opener and then jump to 200 kilos for your second attempt. So knowing 175 was a struggle with the loose shirt and it's too late to change your opener, what do you do?
Pray. No, I think with this,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a very common situation. I think happen at nationals. The numbers I made up a little bit, but a lot of these things come from things that happen, and I think in general, like it's a very tough call to say go up and wait for your it's a very tough call to say put on a tighter shirt if you're probably not going to touch. So what I would do in this situation is stay in the looser shirt, but just crank the shit out of it. Like try to get every kilo out of the shirt that you have on. That way you can open with the same opener you have. Because if you are just a pound light, that's probably, a kilo light, which is, almost 2.5 pounds. That makes a big difference in how your shirt fits. So it's theoretically possible that the tight shirt would allow you to touch 185 because you're lighter than normal, but I still wouldn't take that bet. I would much rather, make adjustments to the loose shirt and try to get every kilo out of it I could. And then from there, jump to, what you think you can touch with the tighter shirt. So that's what I would do. I think, that's looking at the results of what everybody else posted. Some people say, just put the tight shirt on and ride or die, and, you have to know the lifter. If you think you can touch with a tighter shirt, then that might be the answer. But I think more times than not, from my experience, you probably would not be able to touch that opener, which means you'd miss your first one anyway. So then you'd have to go up in weight to try to get one on the board. And I would much rather stay at the lower weight and try to just adjust the shirt and get more out of it. And then if for some reason that doesn't work, then you have somewhere to go. Then you can put on the tighter shirt and try to touch if you just realize that loose one isn't going to work. But if you automatically put the tight one on and can't touch, then you have nowhere to go but add weight to the bar, which is also, becoming a fine line between, is that too much weight to actually press back up or not? I just think, keeping it as simple as you can to get one on the board is the way to go.
Right. Well, and 1 kilo might not matter with squats and deadlifts that much, but for a bench and bench shirt, it really does matter.
Yeah.
I would agree that you just need to tighten that shirt up and try to touch with that 185 and lock it out. It's that lockout too, right? And sometimes things can feel different in the warm-up room. And then when you get on the platform, it just turns up,
That's true. And the creative genius of this situation pat myself on the back is that it doesn't say if the 175 was misgrooved, or, you know, we could maybe assume that everything was perfect, but, you know, it's possible even that, you know, they just misgrooved the 175 in the shirt a little bit and you hit it just right and it'll be fine. We don't know. And, you know, I'm not going to say one way or the other because it's kind of an open-ended question that way.
Well, and you could even be there and be like, the groove could just be off just a tiny bit that you don't see that there's a misgroove. I mean, the bench shirt, there's just so many little nuances with a shirt. I mean, I have at some points got to a point where I was like, I collected bench shirts. And then at one point I was going to take that collection of bench shirts and put them in a fire. Because it's so frustrating sometimes. Little things that you don't even know are going wrong that are going wrong.
Yeah. This is completely changing the subject, but I just remembered the name of the meet was not going to be the Washed-up Open. It was going to be the Washed-up Invitational. It is by invite only.
Invite only.
Yeah. So you can request an invitation, but, you know, we're only going to take people that are
truly washed up.
Truly. Exactly. And we were trying to figure out like the best lifter awards, like making them like most average lifter award or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Best comeback after being truly washed out.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have like 2 factors.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the didn't bomb out award, which, you know, may only be 1 or 2 people. Yeah, I don't know.
Nice. I like it.
The possibilities are endless.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the new lifter tip. Practice pausing your bench press correctly. So the referee gives the press call after the bar is motionless on the chest, not after a certain period of time. The faster you make the bar motionless on your chest, the faster you can get a press call. Slight bouncing or slowly sinking is not motionless. Make sure you practice accordingly.
Yep, agreed. I think a lot of lifters, especially in their first meet, they just assume that when the bar is touching their chest to get a press call, but that really is not the case. It's once the bar is motionless. And I know a lot of lifters get really upset because they're like, man, why are they? And we've talked about this before, but, you know, I'm still seeing it. So, you know, maybe our 2 listeners will share this to other people. But if you know, you just have to really work on quickly getting that bar motionless so you do get a quick press call. Otherwise, you're just holding the bar down there on your chest for extended period of time that you don't need to do. And it just, you know, makes everything that much harder. So that's why from a, you know, just spectator standpoint, it often appears that the judges are very inconsistent on their press call because some are longer than others. But it's actually more times than not, the referees being very consistent by the rules. So, you know, if you know what to look for, you can kind of understand why some are longer than others. And it's really because that bar is still moving. Before
I did see this when I was watching nationals. That there was definitely some longer press calls, and I could kind of zoom in a little bit and go, oh, it's kind of moving. Yeah. And your power meter, when that bar is on your chest, is just ticking down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's your tip for the day. Practice pausing correctly. Quick stops, motionless. If you're not doing that in training, you're not going to do it at the meet. So do it in training. Get it right.
Boom.
Boom. Just like that.
All right. So make sure to follow us on Facebook at PL Ballads Podcast. Email us at plballadspodcast@gmail.com. Ask for an invite to the Washed-up Open.
Invitational.
Washed-up Invitational.
Coming 2026. Sorry. We'll start the hype. We'll start the hype now.
That'll be 5 years of hype. Yes. Awesome. Well, everyone else, keep training and stay strong. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Later.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.